It's your store.
Hollywood homes for sale. Famous Kids and Nicole Kidman. Next, BT.
An alleged act of betrayal and treason. An FBI agent accused of leading a double life, spying from Moscow for years. Tonight, who he is and the grave damage he allegedly did. China in the middle. The airstrikes on Iraq expose a new danger for the U.S. NASCAR under fire after the death of its biggest star. And Eye on America. A doctor's warning on your drug safety leads to a court case against him.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. He swore to uphold the law. Tonight he is accused of selling out his country. In a shocking case of espionage and lax FBI security, an American citizen, an FBI agent, is accused of selling U.S. government documents to the Kremlin. He reportedly did it for cash and diamonds. This allegedly has been going on for years. FBI Director Louis Freeh immediately went into a damage control mode for his bureau and acknowledged that the damage to the United States is, quote, exceptionally grave. CBS's Jim Stewart in Washington begins our coverage of what this accused spy did and how he was finally caught. Jim?
Dan, the FBI is calling this case a brilliant counterintelligence success, but it appears they probably had some help from the very people who hired this spy in the first place.
By the time his fellow FBI agents began picking apart the home of alleged spy Robert Hanssen this morning, the case against him was already staggering in its detail. Sources tell CBS News the veteran agent was uncovered when a Russian defector looking to gain favor provided the Bureau with documents suggesting that Hanssen had been a mole within the FBI for 15 years. Included were Hanssen's first letter to the KGB in 1985 offering to provide a box of documents sufficient to justify a $100,000 payment. Later, he upped the ante, perhaps some diamonds for my children. Also, eventually, I would like an escape plan. Nothing lasts forever, he wrote. He set up his own drop area underneath this pedestrian bridge at a park near his Vienna, Virginia home, the place where he was arrested on Sunday, and as late as last month was still plugging into the FBI's computer system for more information.
The complaint alleges that Hanssen, using the code name Ramon, engaged in espionage by providing highly classified information to the KGB and its successor agency, the SVR.
And some of it was deadly in detail. Although it was convicted CIA spy Aldrich Ames who first fingered two Russians working for the U.S., it was Hanssen who confirmed it. Both Russians were later executed. And the Soviets learned in 1989 that the FBI was investigating State Department officer Felix Bloch for suspected espionage because Hanssen allegedly told them. In addition, Hanssen is said to have handed over 6,000 pages of classified material, including 26 computer disks, plus details of sensitive espionage techniques. In return, he got $600,000 in cash, some diamonds, and $800,000 promised for retirement, according to the Bureau. Hanssen's lawyer agreed the charges were serious.
He's quite upset.
Can you elaborate?
He's just emotional.
In court today, Hanssen remained silent while the potential death penalty charges were outlined against him. Sources said he seemed surprised and shaken after his arrest, but quickly asked for an attorney.
The stunning thing is how close this alleged spy came to pulling the whole thing off and leaving a wealthy man. The FBI got its first tip only 4 months ago. In 5 weeks, Hanssen would have retired with a full FBI pension and maybe one from the KGB as well. Dan?
Jim Stewart. Hanssen is 56 years old, a veteran FBI agent, the father of 6, and said to be a devout Catholic, quote unquote. And he's been around a long time, apparently one of the last people you'd suspect to do this kind of thing. No one who knew him did suspect. CBS's Bob Orr has more about a man who allegedly lived a double life.
Sources say his family last saw Robert Hanssen Sunday afternoon when he left his Virginia home to run an errand. When he didn't return, family members grew concerned. But soon enough, some of Hanssen's fellow FBI agents showed up with the stunning word of his arrest. Hanssen's co-workers were also shocked by the charges leveled against an agent they knew as a quiet guy with a good reputation.
He was a real pro. He knew counterintelligence. He is a very bright man.
David Major, who used to supervise FBI counterintelligence agents, says Hanssen was especially skilled.
He was an expert in technology before technology became a big issue. He was one of the brightest people I knew in the FBI.
Former agent Rusty Capps says it's hard to accept allegations that Hansen betrayed the public trust.
And Bob Hansen was one of those people that you would least believe it of, because he was a very, very bright guy.
And neighbors here in this Northern Virginia suburb knew Hansen as a quiet man who seemed devoted to his family. There was nothing in his lifestyle, they say, that stood out. No obvious money problems and no lavish spending.
The whole thing is surreal.
Jennifer Jones, who lives just down the street, knows the Hansens as a close-knit Catholic family.
They came across as very devout and, family-centric.
But now the family's home is surrounded by yellow crime scene tape. And as the FBI struggles with what some call a blow to the stomach, neighbors and agents are left wondering how a quiet man with 6 kids may have deceived so many for so long. Bob Orr, CBS News, Vienna, Virginia.
You should note that the suspect has not been convicted of anything. He stands, as of this moment, an accused citizen. No comment on the espionage charges yet from Russian President Vladimir Putin, the former KGB man, but Putin did appear at today's reopening of the NATO Information Office in Moscow. The Russians shut down that office in protest during the 1999 bombing campaign in Yugoslavia. Putin hopes to convince NATO members to reject the U.S. plan to build an anti-missile shield in Europe. The U.S. Defense Department says Iraq has gone right on shooting at Allied air patrols in spite of last Friday's airstrike against some anti-aircraft sites near Baghdad. The president's top national security advisors met at the White House late today to discuss the situation. One reason for their concern is clear tonight. China is helping the Iraqis take their communications underground, and the U.S. wants to stop that. But what's not so clear, as CBS News national security correspondent David Martin reports tonight, is how much the U.S. strike accomplished.
The strike flown by Navy and Air Force jets disrupted Iraq's early warning radar network, but Pentagon officials say it was a modest success at best.
We think we had an impact on that. Is it permanent? No. But we think we had an impact on that.
For reasons still unknown to the Pentagon, one of the so-called precision-guided weapons performed poorly. Of 20 radars attacked, the Pentagon can confirm only 8 were damaged. But other precision-guided weapons fired at 7 command and control bunkers all hit, disrupting Iraq's plans to tie its air defense network together with state-of-the-art fiber optic cable.
The network is being installed by Chinese technicians in what U.S. officials say is a clear violation of UN sanctions against Iraq. U.S. officials have complained privately, but so far the Chinese government has just brushed those complaints aside.
The laying of fiber optic cable is easy to spot, and for months spy satellites have watched as hundreds of miles of cable have been laid throughout Iraq, making it increasingly difficult to monitor Iraqi communications.
You know what this is, don't you?
I sure do. That would be fiber optic cable.
It looks harmless enough, but in an interview for 60 Minutes 2, General Mike Hayden, the director of the National Security Agency, which monitors Iraqi radio and microwave transmissions that travel through the air, explained what a nightmare fiber optic cable is for U.S. intelligence.
It's one thing when an adversary puts its communications out there in the ether. That's in the ground. That really increases the challenge for an agency like ourselves.
Friday's air raid disrupted the Chinese fiber optic project, at least for a while. But Saddam Hussein met with his security advisors today to plan the rebuilding of Iraq's air defense network. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Turning now to the investigation of the sinking of a Japanese trawler by a U.S. Navy submarine, Pentagon officials said tonight the USS Greenville's sonar was working properly before the collision, and it did detect the presence of the fishing boat on the surface. What's not yet known is whether that information reached the Greenville's captain before he ordered the emergency surfacing drill. The grief among fans of NASCAR legend Dale Earnhardt seemed only to grow today. So, too, did questions surrounding the safety of the sport and those who oversee it. CBS's Bobby Harley reports from Earnhardt's North Carolina home base.
Deep in the heart of NASCAR country, mourners stretch along back roads. The grieving and the curious. All of them can't get enough of anything Earnhardt.
love that man like he was my daddy.
2 days after car racing's biggest name died on impact at the sport's best-known event, the industry itself is under fire for not mandating more safety measures.
NASCAR moves very deliberately. And they move deliberately, not because, I don't think you could view that as being slowly. They consult with the competitors.
The emotion showed by the thousands who have left flowers and notes is only more evidence that auto racing is on the brink of a national breakthrough. It started this season with a $2 billion plus television deal and new rules to keep the races close and consequently riskier.
In this sport, we expect them to drive faster, race closer together, and never be more than a foot away from their nearest competitor. But I believe now that we're asking too much.
Longtime NASCAR columnist David Poole liked the idea of making the race more exciting to watch until Dale Earnhardt died.
To the fans of this sport, Elvis died Sunday.
NASCAR is trying to move past the accident, but it won't be as easy for the fans who adored Earnhardt. Many because they believed he was one of them.
And he never forgot where he came from. And he was just a really great guy.
The stars of NASCAR will attend a memorial service later on this week, and they will be back out racing Sunday. Meanwhile, in the last few days, dozens of those drivers have ordered head and neck supports that some say could have saved Earnhardt's life. Dan?
Bobby Harley. A setback today for firefighters in Bone Dry, Central Florida, struggling to corral a major wildfire. Smoke from the 11,000-acre fire kept the interstate between Tampa and Orlando closed for a second day as high winds spread the flames faster than fire crews can move. A few homes have been damaged, but so far, no injuries. Those Florida winds contributed to NASA's decision today to land the shuttle Atlantis in California. Atlantis was due to return Sunday from a space station assembly mission, but stayed in orbit hoping for the Florida weather to clear. It didn't, so the shuttle's 5-million-mile flight ended at Edwards Air Force Base. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, Eye on America. He told the truth about a useless AIDS drug. Now he's being sued for millions. And luring the Olympics. China puts on its games face.
Change is good. That's why if you deal with occasional loss of bladder control, improved poise pads are for you. They've been redesigned for a close custom fit. First, they gently raise the center, bringing protection closer to you. Then, they change the shape, making one end wider than the other, so you can place the absorbency where you need it most. That's the beauty of this close custom fit, and only Poise has it. See, change always does you good.
I've got a client, a single woman who's 59 years old. She'd planned to retire at 62. I figured out that with a combination of annuities, she could do it 3 years sooner. To give somebody an extra 3 years of freedom to do whatever they want, that's a great feeling. You're in good hands with Allstate. Mine.
Sis, I snooped in your medicine cabinet.
So?
You switched to X-Lax.
Yeah, Correctol works with an artificial chemical. X-Lax works with natural senna.
Very effectively, too.
You tried it.
What a find.
What a snoop.
Good morning, guaranteed. Ziploc containers, test number 80. Sure, you can put heavy foods into your containers, but can you put over 80 pounds onto your containers? Ziploc, all you ever wanted in a container.
Right on target. Now there's a men's hair color made to target only your gray hair. Grecian 5. It's right on target. In 5 easy minutes, Grecian 5 targets only the gray hair, replaces it with subtle tones like your own natural color. Right on target. It matches the rest of your hair for a subtle, natural look. Grecian 5 targets only the gray.
With
MSN Money Central, you've got the #1 ranked financial site to check all your accounts from any web connection anytime.
One of the teenagers accused in the stabbing deaths of 2 Dartmouth College professors is being returned to New Hampshire. 17-year-old Robert Pulak appeared in court in Indiana today and said he would not fight extradition. 16-year-old James Parker faces a separate hearing tomorrow. They were captured at an Indiana truck stop yesterday after a massive manhunt. Authorities have not said what the motive for the killings might have been. Medical research is supposed to be independent, free from undue influence by those with a financial interest in the results. But some researchers say it doesn't always work that way, that some big drug companies are using financial pressure, even lawsuits, to get the results they want. CBS's Cheryl Atkinson investigated this for tonight's Eye on America.
What did he have?
You could call Dr. James Kahn the research world's $7 million man. That's how much he's being sued for, simply for publishing his research showing an AIDS-related drug didn't work. The drug was Ramune. 16 months into Dr. Kahn's study, a board monitoring the data found that Ramune wasn't helping patients at all. So it told Dr. Kahn and the drug maker, which funded the study,
Our recommendation is that you stop the trial.
even with the study halted, Dr. Kahn says publishing the results was critical because many patients were still taking Ramune in other studies. That's when he says Ramune's maker, Immune Response Corporation, turned from advocate into adversary, withholding data he needed to write the article, then trying to insert disputed data to make Ramune look better.
We were really flabbergasted by this kind of response, and I've never seen anything like this.
Ramune's maker says Dr. Kahn shouldn't have published until the company approved of the article, that he broke his confidentiality agreement and excluded positive information about Ramune it says was revealed by the study. The Journal of the American Medical Association agreed with Dr. Kahn and published his article. Disputes between drug makers and university researchers are becoming more common, especially with less federal money available and scientists relying heavily on drug industry grants. Dr. Alan Arieff says when his study showed a drug was dangerous, the drug maker didn't want him to publish either, even though 500,000 people were taking it.
It could kill a large number of them, and I didn't think that was right, so I published it anyway.
The FDA soon pulled the drug from the market, but not before the drug maker yanked its ongoing grant from Dr. Arieff, he says, in retaliation. The pharmaceutical industry calls such examples rare, adding no company wants to risk patient health or its own reputation by relying on inaccurate or biased research data. But scientists say they're under growing pressure to make drugs sound better or safer, and they worry they'll be entangled in lawsuits if they bite the hand that feeds them.
We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars for this purpose. So even the threat of a lawsuit is enough to put a damper on research.
Despite his ordeal, Dr. Kahn believes most companies still want honest research.
Much to my delight, the companies want to still work with me and with my colleagues and still value the integrity and independence that we bring to the projects.
It's some comfort, but with that $7 million case still hanging over his head, the question is, can Dr. Kahn and other researchers afford the high cost of independence? In Washington, this is Cheryl Atkinson for Eye on America.
In Arizona today, a jury returned a verdict of manslaughter against a doctor for an abortion that resulted in the death of a 33-year-old woman. It was a rare use of criminal prosecution in a medical death case. The jury found Dr. John Biskin caused the woman's death by rupturing her uterus during the abortion.
Black gold. You can make money in oil if you know where to look. Janice drills into companies by looking in person, by walking a pipeline that also carried phone cable. Janice saw how one oil company found new revenue streams, so dips in oil prices wouldn't have them over a barrel. By tracking down the story, Janice found a stock worth gushing about. Get there. Janice Mutual Funds.
Glade Candle Scents. Created by nature. Captured by Glade.
Dinner time.
No.
He hates peas. So I try little things here and there, like hiding some in his salad.
Go for it.
I didn't make any mess.
And something tells me that eventually he'll learn to like them.
Is it good?
Yeah, real good.
Peas were the first step. Now we have some other things to work on.
Around here, the dressing is Kraft. Try Light done right. They took out half the fat, but left the taste.
Who believes Crest Multi-Care Whitening really works? They do, of course. All the protection of Crest Multi-Care will also help whiten with every brushing. Crest Multi-Care Whitening. Take your healthy smile all the way to bright.
Need extra cash? Don't charge it on your credit cards. Get a second mortgage with no closing costs from Ditech.com. With a second mortgage, you can consolidate all your existing high-interest debts, get the cash you need for any purpose, and end up with one lower monthly payment. A second mortgage with no closing costs is smart money from Ditech.com. Log on now for fast online approval or call us at 1-800-71-FIXED.
In Israel tonight, a major setback for new Prime Minister-elect Ariel Sharon as he tries to put together what he calls a unified coalition government. The man Sharon beat, Prime Minister Ehud Barak, reversed course and said he will not, after all, become Sharon's defense minister. Barak's earlier agreement to join the hardline Sharon angered many in Barak's Labor Party. International Olympic Committee inspectors are in China tonight, ready to start a 4-day tour. Their findings could help bring the Summer Games to Beijing in 2008 or dash Chinese hopes for a prestigious coming-out party in the global spotlight. So the order of the day is keep smiling, as CBS's Barry Peterson learned on assignment in Beijing.
With glitz and a slick music video, Beijing is showing off new highways and plans for fancy facilities, radiating optimism about winning the games. From the top man handling the bid, are you confident?
Yes, I'm confident.
Down to future Olympians, dreaming of gold, won before a hometown crowd. I hope, says 9-year-old Zhao Meng Mao, I can compete in Beijing. It means, says a very serious 6-year-old Wu Di, we would be seen by the whole world. Beijing is dressing up for the part. Communist gray buildings are getting a pastel facelift.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Residents are learning to be good hosts. But human rights activists say the Olympics could lead to widespread sweeps, sending the poor back to the countryside and sending troublesome dissidents to prison to get them out of sight.
In that case, we are legitimizing the Chinese government human rights violation, and that will be the disgrace for the Olympics.
When China bid for the 2000 Games, Beijing mistakenly thought it had won. Human rights concerns may have hurt that bid, but this time could be different. The IOC is saying publicly that human rights is not going to be part of the yardstick to assess the various cities. To many, that means Beijing's touchy-feely Olympic bid is now a virtual slam dunk to win. And if human rights becomes an issue, China is ready with a unique argument.
Will the openness maybe improve human rights even more?
I think that's absolutely right. Because with the whole world focusing on China, the opening of the country of the city is almost inevitable.
China once built a great wall to keep the world out. Getting the Olympics, they insist now, could change China for the better by letting the world in. On assignment in Beijing, I'm Barry Peterson.
On the CBS Market Watch, a federal jury in Miami today found that Exxon cheated station owners over a 12-year period by inflating the wholesale price of gasoline. The jury awarded the stations $500 million in damages. Interest could bring that to an even billion.
You know, I've been thinking, maybe
maybe we're wrong to make people choose sides.
My turn.
I mean, we both got our strong points. You're healthy and nutritious, I'm sweet and delicious. Maybe if we work together in harmony, we'd realize we're actually a pretty good team.
Oh, Sweets, I'm touched. Do you really mean it?
Yeah, Wheats, I really mean it. Car! Car!
This one's mine.
Get out of the way!
Nice move.
Go jump in some milk.
I'm taking you with me.
For all those who have difficulty bathing, and for all those who care for them, take comfort.
Take comfort, take comfort. There's Comfort Bath, take comfort.
Comfort Bath. Thick as a washcloth, disposable Comfort Bath can be microwaved for a warm, soothing bath. Comfort Bath leaves skin soft and smooth.
There's Comfort Bath, take comfort.
Look for Comfort Bath at your drugstore.
If you want great prices on expert brake service, come to Meineke. You'll get $20 off for axle on Meineke brake service. Now that's big saving.
At Meineke, you won't pay a lot, but you'll get a lot.
If today's stock markets have you looking for the stability of a money fund, choose the one ranked #1, the Strong Investors Money Fund. Call 1-888-4STRONG. You're one call away from a strong portfolio.
Feel free to have a good laugh. Feel free to run on the beach. Feel free to get close. Because a bladder control issue doesn't have to control you. You've got Serenity Thin, made to do what a maxi pad can't. It's thinner for more comfort and drier for more confidence. Thinner and drier than the leading maxi. Serenity Thin. More confidence, more comfort, more you.
It's his on the weekends, it's mine during the week.
Now is the time to check out the great new cars and trucks from Oldsmobile. Because every new Oldsmobile comes with a General Motors commitment, a 5-year, 60,000-mile GM protection plan. And all vehicles come with continued availability of service and parts.
It's peace of mind to have a service protection plan.
Right now, get 0.9% APR financing or up to $3,000 cash back on 2001 Oldsmobiles.
I got a great deal.
I think it's a great opportunity to buy an Oldsmobile.
See your Oldsmobile dealer for details.
Tonight at 6, your phone and cell phone bills may be both going up. Find out why and how much coming up tonight at 6.
He was a Hollywood legend. His films were classics. Filmmaker Stanley Kramer has died at the age of 87. From High Noon to Judgment at Nuremberg, his films earned 16 Oscars and 80 nominations. Kramer tackled some of the hottest social issues of the day, including interracial marriage in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
The only thing that matters is what they feel and how much they feel for each other. Hello down there on the ground.
Kramer's most popular movie was a comedy. It's a mad, 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 mad world, featuring a star-studded cast in a wild race to find buried treasure. Stanley Kramer called it the happiest experience he ever had with a film.
If I don't get a share, I'm going to go straight to the police.
And that's a wrap. I'll be back later here on CBS with 60 Minutes 2. Think low-tar cigarettes are safer? Not true. A tobacco insider reveals the myth about light cigarettes. Also, Ed Bradley reports on dangerous car seats and what you need to know before you buckle up. Plus, the band that may rock the Grammys. 60 Minutes 2 tonight at 9, 8 Central. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting. See you soon on 62.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.